For some people, the thought of running a business with their spouse is a scary proposition. For our next guests, it's their life. And they still love each other. They like each other. They're still talking. You'll see it right here. Scott and Heidi Shimberg have written Couple CEO, From the Bedroom to the Boardroom and Back. Welcome to Daytime, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, let's talk about what kind of business you're in, first of all, and how long you two have been working together.
We are in real estate, both building homes, developing and selling, and we've been doing that for about 20 years.
Okay, so how in the world do you keep, and you also have 3 boys, so you've got business, personal, children. How do you keep it all separate, or do you?
So what's our secret sauce?
Yeah, how do you keep, you're holding hands, which I love. So obviously you still like each other. So how did you manage that? Because I know even driving to work with my husband, there would be stress. And it was not very healthy.
But stress is okay.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to know how to manage it and make sure that you're making time for yourselves, and that it's not only the business and only the children, and that you go back to just the 2 of you.
Well, how do you get back to just the 2 of you? Because I know when we go to dinner, we talk about work sometimes. I'll ask him about his, and he'll ask about mine. So what in the world do you have left to talk about when you go out for dinner together?
Well, we've always had date night. You've got to structure that into your calendar, just like it's a meeting on the agenda. I mean, date night every week.
So is there any room for spontaneity, or does everything have to be planned?
No.
Oh, no. We like spontaneity. I mean, because it doesn't have to be a date night. It can be a date breakfast. It can be a date lunch. It can be a date picnic.
Date days.
Yeah.
Date days.
Yeah.
So
sometimes we play hooky.
Oh, good for you.
Or we play footsie under the boardroom table.
Well, I was wondering about that. Do you work out of your home, and how does that work? Or do you go somewhere?
We go to our office.
We're fortunate that we go somewhere. And when we've done a lot of interviews and we've spoken with couples who actually do work in the home, they make a point to have separate space, because when you're right on top of one another, that can be a little challenging.
Well, I'm wondering also about that, because you do work together and you raise your kids together. So when and how do you take your time, and what types of things do you do separately from each other?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, I go and tinker on the boat. We're big sailors, and I'll just go and spend some time working on something on the sailboat.
Right.
That's my
Is that your
time.
That's your
Yep, that's my space.
Okay.
It's my man cave.
What about you, Heidi?
It is his man cave. I have my lunch bunch girls, and I never give that up. We get together once a month. I have a book club that I belong to, and I mean, we definitely have things we do apart. We like to work out together, though, which, you know, some people like to keep that separate, but we really like to motivate one another to stay physically fit as well.
You know, it's funny, because every couple I know that works out together is really, really happy. So
it
seems to work. Because it's all those good pheromones and not pheromones.
And it's
but,
eating
you know,
right too. It's what's the you coined the term? It's diet is
a noun, not a verb.
It's a good way to think
See,
about
that
it.
resonated with you.
Right.
Now, what about when you have a fight at work? Because obviously you're working together, you're making decisions together, you're not always going to agree. How do you settle arguments at work?
You have to understand what your strength is and what your strength is not. And I think when you're stepping on, when there's conflict that occurs, sometimes it's that you're not deferring to the other who has maybe a little more strength in that area than you do. And the more that you can understand your own personality type and your partner's, that can blend better together to know when it's time to step back.
Do you ever kind of set a rule for yourselves where you can't talk about work? Have you ever said, tonight, no work talk?
Well, our rule at the dinner table with the kids, is absolutely, because it can be consuming, and they're familiar with it, because you know, it is our life, but we don't want that to consume it. We want that time to be family time.
I'm curious about how you take vacations, because you both work at the same place and you're running the company, so how do you...
Well, technology is a wonderful thing, Cindy, and we've been able to structure a business that you can take your business on the road, and we talk to people about that in the book, how technology tools nowadays allows you to do things that maybe you couldn't do 10 years ago in running your business remotely.
I'll tell you a story. We took a trip, a cruise, and we literally, when we were with the kids, and when we were at a port, we couldn't leave, we couldn't go anywhere, because we were on the boat doing payroll. And I told Scott, I said, never again, never again. We've got to make sure that we fix this so this doesn't happen in the future. And so you figure out the solution.
And for anybody who's watching right now who's thinking, I would like to try this with my spouse, what one piece of advice you can give them?
You're
Heidi?
a couple first.
Okay.
Know your strengths, know where you're heading together, and enjoy the journey.
Okay, and if it gets to be too much of this, stop it?
Not necessarily.
No? Just work through it.
Work through it, figure it out.
Well,
you can figure it out.
Read Couple CEO and they'll help you figure it out, right?
Definitely.
All right, Scott and Heidi Shimberg, authors of Couple CEO. Thank you both very much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Jerry, over to you.